alert now as we continue the coverage that's coming out of the White House just moments ago. Josh Earnest responding to a New York Times report of a mass Gitmo detainee transfer, saying, quote, there are 48 detainees whose cases that could be safely transferred, and the U.S. government is working diligently to find countries to put them in. Mark Larson is a San Diego radio talk show host, and Bernard Whitman, former Bill Clinton pollster, CEO of Whitman Insight Strategies. I find it fascinating, Mark, that the president he spoke at the Pentagon last week. We have this terrorist attack that's happened in California 2 weeks ago, the terrorist attack in Paris. Today he's with counterterrorism officials. He made no mention of the fact that he wants to release half of the Gitmo detainees.
And we shouldn't be surprised at that. He does it like that. That seems to be the standard operating procedure. And we shouldn't be surprised that this is happening at all. And we'll get questions answered, I guess, eventually about the timing, if it's in that 30 days, properly noticed and so forth. But he did say in this final year of his presidency, he'll be like a quarterback with some surprises in the fourth quarter of the game. I think we're here.
Well, Bernard, it doesn't seem to make sense, and I'd love to see what Americans think about this if the question was asked in a poll, but we have people on high alert right now with homegrown terrorism and international terrorism. And we see that there's a high recidivism rate of Gitmo detainees once we lose track of them, which, by the way, is just for a year in these countries.
Well, look, I am certainly no national security expert. I'm not surprised that the administration is trying to figure out what to do. We've been trying to figure out what to do with its detainees for 12 years. And it's true, Obama did pledge to close Gitmo 8 years ago before he assumed the presidency. So I think we've got to wait and see, figure out what countries are going to take it, what are the security precautions, who actually are these detainees, and then I'm sure that there will be a whole lot of investigations and hearings going on.
The crux of the matter is that Congress has said, not in my backyard.
Right.
They have said you cannot bring them to U.S. prisons. Now, Greg Jarrett, a few moments ago, from a legal point of view, said maybe Obama has a way around that. But don't you have to factor in what you originally said you wanted to do when you became president with what the safety concerns of the nation are today?
I think this is really in your face to the American people. It's like say one thing, do another. This is why the people are nervous, and this is why every time the president talks on this issue today or when he did just last week, people seem to be less secure. It really is disregarding what people feel right now, I think.
Okay. Be interesting to see a poll on that. Let's change to this now. Rush Limbaugh, talking about why people don't get Donald Trump and Trump supporters. He says the real question isn't Trump, it's what's wrong with the ruling class establishment. Listen to this.
The question is what's wrong with them, not what's wrong with Trump or Rubio or Cruz or any of these other candidates. Why doesn't the establishment see what the rest of us see?
All right, Bernard. The interesting thing is that Rush Limbaugh put Marco Rubio in the anti-establishment candidate, package there. He had Trump, Cruz, and Rubio. Interesting.
Yeah, that shocked me, and it sort of made me think, is Rush Limbaugh on the payroll of the Rubio campaign? I'll tell you one person who probably was very surprised to hear that was Ted Cruz. I mean, I think it's quite clear that Marco Rubio is pretty much an establishment politician along the lines of Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, and I get exactly why the voters are so frustrated, so upset, so disaffected. They don't feel, the Republican primary electorate does not feel that the Republican establishment is listening to them, understands them. But the idea that Marco Rubio is an anti-establishment candidate, I think that's news to just about everybody.
Well, it is different now. Here's the thing. There's too many policy wonks around. No offense to policy wonks, but if the establishment, the experts are thinking this will just go back to the way it was 20, 30 years ago, these are different times. It's not going to be that way. Ronald Reagan was as much out there as Trump is sometimes. I'm not saying they're compared, but in '76, he was the outlier and going up against Ford, and then eventually he brought the party together after that. So this is a new time under social media and everything else. We have people reacting more quickly than usual here.
New time. Guys, thank you.